everybody, welcome to my first Draw With Me voiceover video. Today we'll be drawing my green sheet conure, Loki, and I'll be explaining my entire process. So yeah, let's get started. So the first thing we're going to do is block in the background and draw in a general outline of the subject, just so that we have a basic outline to see where everything will go. Nothing needs to be perfect at this point. It honestly can change in the future. Next, we're actually going to block in the colors for the subject. That way you can fill in details later, but generally I like to work from top to bottom, with a few exceptions when there's some small details I really want to finish up just so I don't have to worry about it later. And you honestly want to finish a good base for it just so that you don't have to worry about filling in empty spaces as you're adding in details over. So I think personally the eye is the most crucial part in any life form paintings. It really can make or break the painting in my opinion, and it really helps bring it to life even when the rest isn't finished. As long as the eye is on point, it honestly can help cover for the rest of the painting even when the rest isn't as detailed. And that's why I like to really fill in the eye and finish it up before I even work on the rest of the painting. So now that the subject is mostly colored in, I'm going to work on the background and color it in, just so that I can later work on small details that stick out of the subject without worrying that going back to working on the background will then cover up those small details. And I just color in the branches with a general brown, and I finish up the background with the details because I have an idea in mind and it's kind of detailed, and I don't want to go back to working on the background when I finally draw the little tufts of feathers sticking out. And here you can see I'm adding some gold foil to the background, which is what I had planned on using. I've seen other paintings, like abstract paintings, that utilize gold foil, and I really wanted to try it out for myself because I really liked how it looked. For this part, there's really no rules or guidelines. It's just an abstract background, so just do whatever looks good. decided to work on the feet next just because I want to work mostly in sections. So once I finish the head, I want to move on to the body and then the feet, but I decided to work on the feet first. What you want to do is fill in and block in the shadows. Doesn't have to be detailed, you just want to block in the shadows and the light source just so that you can form it into a 3D figure and see that it's not a flat thing, it's a 3D figure. And if you've never seen a bird up close, birds have scaly feet. They're not like dogs where their entire body is just fluffy with fur. Birds have mostly a feathery body but then scaly feet. What I do here is I take a very small and thin paintbrush and add in white highlights to really showcase the scales on their feet. So a general rule for painting and drawing feathers is don't draw every feather. Birds have so many feathers, just like how dogs have so much individual strands of fur. There's no way you can possibly draw every single individual strand to make it look realistic. The general rule is when there's a large section of the same color of feathers, you really only need to highlight certain shadows and highlights of some feathers to emphasize those ones, and your brain will most of the time fill in the rest without you knowing. For some paintings, if you look closely, some artists only draw maybe 5 strands of a feather and not the rest for the bird, and your brain will see it as a full feathered bird in the painting, and that's really cool. But unfortunately, that was not the case for my green sheep conure. If you take a close look at him, he's very colorful. He goes from black to yellow to green and then to red. But each individual row of feathers also have their own outline. It's not one block of the same color. It's rows of color with a black outline, and then next row, black outline, next color row, and then a black outline. So in this case, I thought it was best to add more details than what you would generally do just because of how detailed Loki's feathers are. I tried my best not to draw every single detail in the feathers, but I still did have to draw a lot. As you watch closely, you will slowly see how realistic it becomes. Once I finished the feathers, I wanted to work on his wing, and that gave me a brief scare because I had become so used to his belly, his front belly, where there were so many colors, so much detail. You can easily see where the individual feathers are, but in the case of his wings, that's where it's only one color, just green. I had a brief brain fart and didn't know what to do. I was like, how am I going to draw in those feathers? They're all the same color. How am I going to show that? But a tip that I can give is if you ever draw something with mostly the same color, try squinting your eyes at your reference and try to drown out all the details and instead focus on where majority of the shadows and the highlights are, and then just block in those sections. Don't worry about the details, just block those in, get a general form of where everything is, and then slowly blend in everything and add in the important highlights and details, and slowly you'll begin to see things take shape and you'll know where everything else goes. And it's the same process for drawing trees. Squint your eyes at your reference picture, find out where your shadows and your highlights are, block them in, and then blend it together before adding in your highlights. And just for a tip for drawing branches, when you're blending in your highlights and shadows, try blending them with your brush in the direction of the curve of the branches. So don't just blend them up and down or side to side. Blend them and follow the curve of the branches, and it'll really help show the structure and curve to your eyes. And here I decided to just add some gold paint highlights to his beak and his feet just to keep it in theme with the background of gold foil. And yeah, I think I learned a lot while painting this piece, and I hope you did too. I'm really happy with how it came out, and I think Loki is too. But that's it. Thank you so much for watching. Bye!